your future self talking to your present now, and he's sending you information. There is no time, right? There is no future, there is no past, it's only the present. So every informations are included into that time right now.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the new podcast called Purple Matter, where myself, Ivan Huang, and Armel Dussol, we are co-founders of Beyond the Hustle podcast. This show is produced by Man and Vision, but we're basically going to tap in once a week, me and Armel, to give you guys a little behind the scenes feel while Armel is traveling the world. I'm currently here in Taipei, Taiwan. But this show is aimed to kind of go a little deeper into the fringe fabrics of the supernatural / spiritual / synchronistic. How would you describe this show, Armel?
I think this show is gonna go deep. Like, you know, if people already listen to Beyond the Hustle is a bridge from entrepreneurship to spirituality, and I think with this one was gonna go straight into spirituality, into the purple matter, you know.
Right, for sure. I mean, I think a big influence from this show, Purple Matter, was this kind of unseen force that's guiding all of us. And, you know, essentially what mission are we on here collectively as people? With this show, we hope to kind of explore that a little bit more through a perspective of my own life and Armel's life, because naturally, some really interesting things have already started to occur. So we can't wait to share some of those stories with you all. Yes, sir. So Armel is in Japan right now, in Tokyo.
We're in Tokyo. 3 days I'm here already. A lot of things happened, a lot of beautiful things. Got the opportunity to shoot the music video with your friend Lisa that you recommended me, and she's also she's saying hi to you, and it was a beautiful shooting. It was 2 days music video and very productive.
Nice. I saw some of the stories you did. You were hitting some crazy locations.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How did you find some of those locations yourself? How did you come across them?
So a lot of them was recommendation from Lisa, but I think we try to keep it really organic. So we did a little plan of like different places, and then whatever we figured out was interesting to shoot on the way, we were just recording directly there. So
That's wild.
yeah, I think it's a new style of shooting that I really appreciate. It's less planning and more authenticity, more like on the move shots. That's what we do also with our podcast, you know, like not so much scheduling, not so much acting, not so much planning. I feel like I'm having less fun when I'm doing all those preparations, and now it's getting very organic. Thanks to the technology we have, cost gets cheaper, so we can just appreciate the time we have shooting.
Right, you're able to move way more fluidly, way more smoothly, can create decisions on the go. I mean, the improvisational style, I think, is like top style, right? That's the dream.
Exactly.
When you have an idea and you just move on it and you create on it.
Yeah,
and all the tools are at your disposal.
Yeah, and it's a harmony between the people that view the thing, the people you're working with. It just has to be a natural harmony that happens in the present moment, and this is really tough to make it happen when everything is scheduled on, right? So even with my clients, that's always what I'm asking them when they're like, oh, I don't really know how to act in front of the camera or this or that. I think you should not act, just be authentic. That's what people are looking for. People are looking for authenticity, and the more you act, the more fake it's going to look like. So just be natural and forget about the camera, and we're just having a great time together, and the result is always really nice.
Yeah, that's the vibe. What song did she shoot the video for? What was it called?
Thank You.
It's called Thank You.
Yeah. Thank You.
And she made like a new, because I remember that's a song from the past. Did she make a new version of that?
I haven't heard the previous one, but I think she improved it. From what I've heard from her, she improved the song. Nice. We're gonna make it short for like it's gonna be a 2 minute and a half video.
Nice quick hit.
But it changed me a lot. I used to shoot music video for rappers in France. It was a lot of rap music before. Now it's Now it's a very different style, and I'm really grateful for that because it opens doors to a lot of new possibilities.
Oh hell yeah! I mean, what was your take on the music? Did you like the music? Did you like this
Yeah,
song?
of course, it was really really amazing the first time I listened to it, and I love all type of music. You know, it's like until the music is good,
Yeah,
I appreciate it
yeah. I can't wait to hear it, man. I can't wait to see it.
for real.
So Japan is becoming a little spiritual hotspot, huh? I think this week we've had some developments with some new informations we've received.
We can cover the little thing about the full moon yet last week we had. So basically, maybe this show will be uploaded in the future, but we're recording it on September 24th.
Yeah, we just
So
went through a nice full moon, right? What kind of full moon did we go through?
I think it was a eclipse full moon or something like that. I'm not exactly sure of the details, but I know that this is
Sure.
the biggest full moon of the year because in Taiwan
Really?
in Taiwan is the national holiday, full moon
Yes, right. Moon
festival, Mid
festival.
Autumn
Yeah.
festival, and it's the biggest and the closest moon of the year. So I guess it's the
Wow.
more intense one. And there was two
Right.
this year. There was two moon that was really intense. One in the beginning, I think during spring, and now
Right.
this new one for autumn is very strong.
Right.
So two things I've noticed during this full moon was, and the first one was in the morning, early morning of Wednesday 19th, the following day of the full moon. In the morning, a lot of ambulances, a
Really?
lot, a lot of ambulances in the morning. I could hear in the streets maybe 4, 5, 6 times more than usual. I said to myself, that's the energy is so intense that it could be both way. It could be very positive for some people, and it could be also very very tough and very difficult for others.
Mm-hmm.
And that translated to the noises of ambulances in the street. So some people might have went through some really tough times during this full moon. So it's really
Yes,
good to
that's
be
true.
aware of those phases because then that's when you know like, oh, the energy gonna be more intense and I can handle them more smoothly if I'm aware of it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's always very relative because we always forget when things are going well. It's so easy to take things for granted, and then you hear a siren. You hear some kind of commotion, or even when you look at the news. I mean, the news is so filled with sensationalized, scenes of pain, war, destruction. It puts it into contrast, right? That like, for one of us, a full moon could mean a new beginning, some kind of promotion, some kind of positive situation. But literally on the other side of that, someone's in an ambulance,
Exactly.
right? Their life is
Exactly.
changing. I mean, when I hear that though, it's like, it makes me think, are we really in control? Are we really in
I,
are we really in like is does destiny exist?
so
Are we
my,
on our path?
my understanding of it is that we are in control. We are 100% in control. The energy level, we can't control it. So for example, boom, the full moon gonna come in, the energy will be higher, more intense. This we can't control, but we can control in which side of the spectrum the energy gonna be on. If we are like on the positive phases, very positive mental,
Mm-hmm.
thinking about great things, good things, usually, I mean, that's only my understanding. I'm not calling myself scientific or something like that, but I
Right.
believe that if we are on this positive phase, then the energy will be producing positive results. On the other side, if we're like thinking negative, thinking like not so good right now, not
Mm-hmm.
insecurity, negativity,
Mm-hmm.
stress, anxiety, then boom, the energy will be increased during the full moon and it will move on that side of the spectrum. So I think we're on control on is it like a plus or a minus, This is produced by our brain.
Right. And there's a theory too that I've been kind of seeing some more information revolving around just like human beings as projection devices. I almost sense that, of course, what you're mentioning is very derived from The Secret. Of course, there's so many meditation, tantric, all Buddhist practices, all dealing with like how to strengthen your vibrational frequency. Essentially, there's this kind of belief amongst many on Earth right now that the human being is an electrical transmitting slash receiver device. You know, that we are able to pick up signals and frequencies and energies. But not only that, is that once we receive and pick up those frequencies and energies, we are then able to also project them into reality. So then there's a whole other faction of people that I've been at least seeing, you know, in terms of information I've been receiving myself about this simulation theory, which is that as we are observing the, you know, universe, reality, whatnot, it's rendering. So we are rendering reality as we see it. And what's crazy is relating that to the projection theory. And I think I sent you this video maybe a few days ago about how like the frameworks of our society are upheld: money, power, and the black markets. So now we're in this world where
that was the black market.
The big issues are kind of about corruption. Our society feels corrupted. You know, it feels like we're in upside down world. So I think more than ever we're entering this cycle again, because I feel like this has happened many times through history, where collectively we are remembering who we are. We're remembering what our powers are. We're remembering how connected we are to everything.
For sure, yeah. I think we are in these phases right now. It's a crazy phase. And coming back to the full moon, the second aspect that I've noticed was that during this period, I had a lot of memories that came back through my head. A very random one. It could be, boom, I'm 14 years old in Aix-en-Provence driving Uber Eats on the corner of a street. Very vivid memories. Another one, boom, 20 years old in the US, this neighborhood, this person, boom, boom. I'm like projected into this time. Very random, no reason. I was asking myself, why am I thinking this right now? It must be a link.
So I also had some like, I guess you can call them like very vivid flashbacks. Strange, right? Like, you know, at certain random moments throughout the day, maybe you're doing something normal. Like I remember I was just taking a shower, or I was lying in bed getting ready to go to sleep, and then like boom, I just got this flashback from these different points in my life, but very obscure random points. And the position was super I guess you could say like nothing special. Like I had a flashback. I was back maybe like 10 years, I think it was like 10 years ago maybe, where I was working I was bartending in New York City. And I just remember being at like the end of the bar, and like I remember the scene, but it was strange. And it made me think about what you were saying about, you know, now that you're in Japan, you know, I want you to go meet that. I'm looking forward to hearing when you go meet that lady you told me about, but who introduced that crazy book to us, the Jehovah Prophecy. I want to talk more about that later. But you mentioned about this concept of how you can talk to your past lives.
Yes.
In the present moment. And you talking about the full moon made me imagine, like, is it possible that during these times where the energies are shifting, where there's like these large planetary bodies kind of manipulating, you know, whether it be gravity or pressure or frequency or quantum physics, just like an ocean, just like the tide is influenced by the moon and the waves pull back on the sand, and like when the wave and the shore the tide gets low, and then on the sand you can see all of these like different seashells or animals or whatnot. Does that happen? It makes me wonder, does that happen during these like planetary events? When it comes to your past lives, does that fabric or that veil get pulled back, and all of a sudden you can see your past self clearly? And perhaps could you even communicate with your past self
more easily? That's very interesting. I think we gotta wait for the next full moon, see if like we got those glimpses again during that time. I think it would be very interesting to talk about that again.
Right. It's like a window. There's a window take place where all of a sudden you're able to see these different parallel lives that you're able to talk to. I mean, you told me that this lady told you that it's possible, right? That she's been practicing speaking to her past self. Tell me what she said again. Like, how did she explain that?
So basically, it was 2 years ago in Tokyo again. I was in the train, and I had like some really vivid sensations of a super advanced world, reality, civilization. So first time I have it in my mind, boom, I'm like, okay. Second time, boom, okay. Third time, I'm like, wait. It's actually a real sensation right now that I have. I'm like really realizing that we are in a hyper-connected world, hyper-connected civilization. Everything seems to be interconnected between, like, you know, the technology, the phone, the deliveries, the Uber Eats, the metro is owned by Google. I mean, like crazy thing. Third time, I'm like, whoa, that's a real sensation. I got to remember it. I've talked about it with my mom, with some of my friends. They could not really understand what was it. You know, it was like kind of weird. The following day, I was meeting with this person that I've met very
synchronistically, right? Like super random,
exactly.
but not random.
Exactly, synchronistically. I had a dinner with her, and I talked about it. She gave me the answer directly. She was like,
Wow.
"This is actually your future self talking to your present now, and he's sending you information. There is no time, right? There is no future, there is no past, it's only the present. So every informations are included into that time right now." And I was having access to future informations sending from my future self. And she was like, you can actually practice that. If today you are remembering yourself in the past, I give you an example. You arrive in a new country. As soon as you arrive, you get into your hotel, and when you arrive in your hotel, you sit down and you think about yourself when you bought this flight ticket. And you visualize the scene. You visualize your living room or your computer when you buy the flight ticket. You visualize everything, and then you thank yourself for buying this flight ticket.
Right.
And so you're basically thanking your past self.
Right.
And doing this consistently, you will already train your future self doing this more often, so you will be able to receive more information from your future self in the present now.
So does that mean we're like, it's like we're altering our timeline through that choice?
I think so.
It's like we're creating a new timeline almost. We're creating a new parallel reality by the choice of like, do I talk to past self or not? If you do talk to past self, then you've just created a new timeline.
I think what's this is helping creating more intuition in your present now. So during your present, exactly, you will increase intuition. So you will go do something and you will have a thought about, oh, this is the right choice I should do. And this is probably because your future self is already thanking you for the choice you're making now.
That just gave me like this vision of like you saying that made me imagine that like right now is the only thing that is really there. I mean, there's so many, you know, mentors, teachers who talk about this eternity in the now. You know, like Eckhart Tolle talks about this like ever flowing now, this present moment. But I just had this wild thought that like in this now, in this moment, actually you, me, your life is the most important thing there is. So applying that back to like thoughts and intention and the responsibility of like what you're thinking about with the energy you're putting out, it's so important because I just had this vision of like, imagine another infinite amount of different versions of yourself, like in a sphere. Like let's say you're kind of here, and around you are all these potential scenarios and selves, depending on your decision in every second.
Yes.
So imagine like your higher selves, maybe positive selves, they are constantly feeding you right now. They're feeding, it's like an eyeball. It's like they are veins feeding you information because they want you to allow them to exist. But that goes for the negative selves too, because there is a negative version of yourself too. There's a higher self. Now we have to understand there has to be a lower self. There has to be a version of you who wants you to destruct, because they are almost ready to, they're ready to not exist.
For sure.
Maybe they've already lived life.
Like this version of us that is like, as you say, lower frequency or want to destruct us or anything like that is still a very positive version of us. because without them we can't grow. If they're not here to like trying to give us challenges and trying to like pull us down and trying to distract us, there's no place for growth. So those are actually really positive, and we should thank this different version of us that are more negative to be here and to be present.
Hell yeah. Robert Grant recently said, the absence of light is not the absence of, I'm sorry, the darkness is not the absence of light. And he described that in a way that when you turn the light off, you think that it's dark, you think that it's pitch black, but actually he goes into the aspect of like photons. Light is just vibrating at a slower rate. So in fact, everything has light in it. Everything has those negative, positive ions just waiting to be flipped, waiting to be turned on. And it makes me think about like all of us now, like people now. You know, how many people are maybe in a state of some kind of self-created darkness, right? They think that they're depressed, they think that they're anxious, and by all means they might be chemically.
It happens to me, but it happens to me very like yesterday I was having some time like very negative, very negative thoughts, like not feeling so good and everything. But it was actually, first it was because I was tired, so it was tough for me to put myself back in a positive state. But then as soon as I get some rest, I felt so much better. So yeah, I don't know if this has a link with what you're saying, but
I think it's all linked. I mean, bringing it back to this week I've been reading that book you recommended that this lady apparently recommended to you as well, and I find it very interesting that certain knowledge or information appears, and I feel like there is something to say about that concept of knowledge appearing. For 35 years, never heard of this story, and then I told you a little bit about some of the interesting things I've been through myself. And I think one day you mentioned this concept of like the continent of Mu. Right? I don't know why you mentioned it. Like we were on a podcast episode. I forgot which one, but you spoke about the continent of Mu. Told me that you even got tattoos. In Japan, you got tattoos?
no, Tahiti.
Where was in Tahiti? And you said you and your family went to get a tattoo. You go to this guy who just like freestyles a tattoo on you, right?
Yeah.
And then you discovered that the tattoo he freestyled onto your chest was like a tiki extraterrestrial face.
Yeah, it's basically it's a tiki, and when he tattooed that, I was like, all right, you just tattoo a tiki, no meaning for me. And then
Right.
6 months after actually I had this conversation with this woman who recommended me the Xiaoba prophecy book.
Right.
The next 2 days after, I woke up in my hotel room, when I like brush my teeth in the mirror, and I look at the tattoo. I was like, what? The guy actually tattooed me an extraterrestrial, an alien on my chest. And that was the realization 6 months after. So as you say, information's coming in at the perfect time. They're appearing at the perfect time. It's like puzzle keys, Puzzle gets in, boom, you get another information that helps you complete the whole thing. And those extraterrestrials, for me, is basically this is just a legend, I cannot say it's true or it's false, but it's to me it sounds very, very right and very interesting to learn about. Just want to learn more about this. But Mu was in the middle of the Pacific, this continent, this ancient civilization. It's a legend where people were super spiritually evolved and spiritually connected. Those people were at this time visited by aliens. Aliens were coming through and communicating with the people on the top of the government at that time. Some of the pyramids also in Egypt, they had the same pyramid on Mu as well. Same type of buildings. Those aliens coming to the continent were drawn, were like sculpted, were painted and it translated after years and years and years and years into those tikis in Hawaii, in Tahiti, that are
Yeah.
seen as gods because they're coming from the sky, and they have this. They can communicate without talking. They can transfer knowledge, and very highly evolved spiritually. So he has been translated as tikis, and now you can check every tikis. He looks really like an alien.
Yeah, that's super exciting for me too because I've always been, I guess you could say, a fan of extraterrestrial UFO theories and knowledge, and just the because for me it's like it's all about the mythology, because I feel like human beings are so we're such store like we're so story intertwined creatures. Like our existence, our thoughts, our psychology is so molded by the stories we tell and the stories that we've learned and even the stories we imagine. But, kind of bringing this book and this information to the table was really interesting because, you mentioned like when you get depressed, what do you do to get depressed? But like, I'm only around chapter, I think, 9 right now. So the main character has already spoken with the main character from the book Tao, which is apparently it's this very highly evolved spiritual being, and their planet is in the ninth dimension, and their society is so just the way this author is describing their society and even their homes, like the way they talked about their doko homes, like these egg-shaped homes that are just lit so well, the lighting, the interior design, the fact that you can be inside of this home and you can see outside. So like there's no walls. Even as we say this, right? You hear the ambulance, you hear the siren, you hear the noise, and that's something they spoke about in the Theova prophecy. They spoke about the therapy of noise. They said that noise is what's creating stress. It's what's creating anxiety. It's what's creating like
Man, I'm really, really, really happy and grateful that you're reading this book because I recommend it to a lot of people, and I think you are the only one that are actually reading it. I recommend it to a lot of people,
I think more
and
people should read it. I'm surprised after 35 years of life that this book has now appeared, and this book was written in what 1984. You know,
something like that.
right? So this is like around 40 years already. 40 years this book has been out in
Now
the
it's time. Now it's time. And about the
maybe.
noise, talking about the noise, I love this passage about the noise. For me, it taught me so much
Oh yeah,
after reading this. I feel like I'm so much less attracted by big cities. I'm so much less attracted by noisy environment where there's a lot of people. This is really not for me now anymore because, as you say, it causes a lot of stress. But on the other side, everything that is related to nature, the natural sounds, the birds, the trees, the wind, all those are lifting you up energetically. And those people in Mew, when the guy go visit Mew in the book, he's saying that all those people are dancing on the music of nature. So it's a combination of wind, of 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 trees, leaves. All this is creating a whole music, and people are dancing on it. And in Taiwan, when I get into the nature, now I'm aware that this is a whole music. And if you're aware of it, you can listen. It's like an orchestra. Is everything is creating music around you, and this is very healing.
yeah. They even said in that well, not only on the continent of Mu, which this civilization of Tioba. For the viewers watching, of course, if you get a chance, read the book. It's you don't have to take it for 100% fact. You can look at it as science fiction if you want, but regardless, the story has so many gems of wisdom, and there's so many lessons. And like as Armel is saying, even in the continent of Mu, but also in the planet of Tiaoba, the author asked this being, what is that sound? What's that? Like I can just kind of like it's always there. And she said that some of their experts have claimed that if that sound were to go away, that they themselves would cease to exist and would start to deteriorate. Almost amplifying that connection between the being and this orchestra of nature's sounds and melodies. And so that's what I mean. This book has a lot of very avant-garde thinking for coming out in 1984, because they talk about like frequency, sound, like sound therapy. They talk about, of course, lighting therapy. They talk about auras. They talk about, you know, architectural things, and I think what's most important too, they talk about I forgot what the word is. I got to go back to the book, but they talk about using sound as a way to mold matter, as an explanation for the pyramids and how the pyramid stones were cut. And it's crazy because reading that made me realize we already today in 2024 have started to see more advancements in sound technology, right? They will emanate frequencies onto like sand platters, and you'll see the sacred geometry occur in the sand. But if you can do that just with sand, would it be already possible to get to a certain frequency where you can mold a solid block of rock?
Could be. It could be for sure. I mean, we already see like that the sounds can like mold the water already.
Right.
Can
At a certain
create shapes
frequency, that's what I'm saying. At a certain frequency, solid rock could potentially be molded or cut perfectly, right? At like microscopically perfectly, that they claim these pyramids are aligned, like 0.001. Like we can't even do that to this day on a current societally agreed upon reality. We all think we cannot do this ourselves, but
I think we are right now in a very primitive state of society. 2024, very primitive. Everyone thinks we are evolved. It's just we think we are evolved just because of marketing. Big tech companies are doing great marketing on letting us think the technology is really great. But I think we're actually very, very primitive.
yeah, for sure, I agree. But it's relative too. Although I agree, we do have the privilege of using the technology that has been developed, right? iPhone, laptop, headphone, ambient purple lighting, right? Distance communication. I mean, even the fact that we're able to speak over a Wi-Fi network, you know, all these things we have to be very grateful for, because it's allowing us to communicate at light speed. But I do think that the tools itself are trying to help us unlock that natural, like,
Exactly. That's
crazy
all.
technology.
Exactly. That's all it is. I think all those tools, those material things, are just here to let us know that this is possible. Since we have all those waves of energy coming in with our brain, the phone, the computer, all this is just training us to understand that this is actually possible. Let's take a simple example. You know, when you get a call from someone and you think about that person just 5 seconds or 10 seconds before this call, right? It's actually your brain is used to the frequencies of this person. Usually it appears with people that you talk often. And so your brain is already used with that frequency. And so it's going to receive the phone call frequency before your phone. And so that's what's going to make you think about this person just before the phone call.
Right. It's intuition development, I think, as you mentioned before, and as I'll continue to mention, is a very strong cornerstone of this show, Purple Matter, is intuition development. And as you spoke about that too, it made me think about those fork in the road moments throughout history. And I can't help but think about the Nikola Tesla Edison fork in the road between the AC/DC, the alternate currents and the direct currents. And even as we're on these systems, laptop, iPhone, right? It's a direct line. For some reason, I can't help but feel like there's a collar on all of us. It's like we're all dogs being walked. Like we all take this collar with us, this phone, but it's a direct line, and that line is like a fucking octopus, and that octopus connects to this conglomerate. I mean, visually it can be a little bit like creepy to imagine a model that's kind of based on having like how many. I mean, I would have to wonder how many iPhones are currently in use right now, and how many of those iPhones are directly connected to a mainframe. Ironically, that model to me sounds like the universe, right? It's kind of like a micro version of the universe. The universe is kind of like this mainframe source technology, and maybe the human being becomes a device, and we are just feeding information back to a main source. But you feel like there's a little bit more freeform though, because when it comes to like an iPhone, you can't help but feel like there's human ego and arrogance and power and pride attached to it. Because back to Nikola Tesla, he talks about harnessing electricity from the earth, from the air, from from the pressure levels, just harnessing electricity. Edison is all about the wire, right? It's like the tube that connects. So like here we have these alternate realities where we're in Edison's reality, where it's like for some reason collectively we support people who are very like greedy, like power hungry, controlling. They don't want you to be able to have a connection, to be able to call someone if you're not using their network, right? It's like right now we're on Google Meet. Like you had an idea sitting on the train where the train was owned by Google.
Yeah.
Like can you imagine physically we depend on a technology company? But why? Why do they get to control it?
I think it's not gonna last so long. I don't think it's gonna last so long. This period of time where we are controlled by computers and brands, I think it's not gonna last so long. You can just compare your time. You can just compare the time you're having in the nature, disconnected with your phone and with your any technological thing, and then compare your time when you are in the city with your computer, your phone, your whatever, and which one is the best time you have. Answer is easy. So the more people will have experience like that, the more they're gonna understand, and the more they're gonna be like, wait, what? I'm spending money on that?
I mean, naturally, as the pendulum swings, one thing I notice about nature, because I love going to nature, when I'm in nature though, my life jacket, my life vest, like if nature was an ocean, my life vest is my phone. So this is where it becomes a very double-edged.
What do you mean?
So imagine if you yourself get thrown out of a boat into the ocean.
Yeah.
If you haven't been taught or haven't been grown in a culture of an ocean civilization, the only thing that you would have to be connected to life would be whatever preservation device you have. Life jacket, maybe a boat, maybe a raft, right? But if you were an ocean civilization, maybe you developed, like, I don't know, I'm just being very imaginative.
So when you
develop gills, you're able to swim, you're able to fish. Now the same thing happens now. We love nature, you love nature, but of course there are TV shows that talk about this. If I put Armel into the forest, into the jungle, your lifeline would be the cell phone, because you haven't been taught how to camp. You haven't been taught how to survive. You haven't been taught how to hunt. So we're in this weird position, and I'm not just talking about Armel, I'm talking about most people. We're in this weird position where we are now part of a generation of humans that we're city boys and girls. Like, that's what we are. You know, we depend on the device. And unless we're learning how to not depend on that device, and you see it happening now too, right? You see camping getting a little more popular. You see people getting their like RV buses, living on the road, the nomads. There is a little subculture of nomads growing in response to this overly technological world. Burning Man is a metaphoric response to heightened technology. Like, once a year, let's go live out in the desert, right? But they still need electric generators. They still need batteries. They still need power. They still need speaker systems and DJ boards. So I think we cannot be too pure. Like, we cannot be pure nature. We cannot be pure technology. It's really a hybrid situation.
It's a purple situation.
It's purple, right? You can't be red and blue. There is no red and blue in life.
Yes,
It's
sir.
purple. It's only purple.
Yes, sir.
And that's a good thing too. That's a good thing because shit, I mean, you and I have attended some crazy events or experiences that's only possible because of technology with nature as a setting, right? So
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're heading to a really, really good situation in life. I think the future is very promising, and we are right now we are in the at the bottom of the curve. Maybe getting a little bit more in the bottom next year, you know. But then it's all gonna go up, and I think it's gonna be very, very positive, very, very nice. You know, if I see about a if I look at my future in a nice situation, I see myself at the beach with no shoes and eating fruits and veggies.
straight up, what kind of device are you using to communicate with people?
No device, just my brain.
Just straight telepathy?
Hopefully, yeah.
It would be awesome to achieve telepathy within this time. I mean, when you think about it, you're mid-20s.
Already achieved, my G. Already achieved. We
I
just
think
can't
it's
prove
there,
it.
right?
We
You have to
can't prove.
practice it. You have to
We
refine
can prove
it,
it. We can't prove it right now. But whatever thoughts coming through your head, you can't not really tell if it's the thought of someone else or if it's your thought, right?
I'm curious because I want to know how many people on this earth right now are in an enlightened state, and how do we? And I don't want to say the word proof because I think human beings are very obsessed with this word proof, and they talk about it in the Tiaova prophecy as
Exactly.
well. And speaking of Tiaova, before I forget, there's a word in Chinese, old Chinese or old Taiwanese called Uyo. Uyo. It means like, don't worry, everything's gonna be fine. Like, Uyo. This the sound is so interesting because I feel like when you break down sound, break down language, I think you said it before too. It's like language is a big telephone game. But I hear that word uyo, and it sounds like even Uyova, the planet Uyova. And then even so, according to the book and according to some research I did about like the language of Hebrew, and in the Hebrew Bible, in the Torah, there's a word that's used there's one word that's been used the most amount of times in the book, and that's the word for what they call God. But there's a debate on how to pronounce this word that's been going on for thousands of years. The rabbis all debate how to say this word. The current agreed upon consensus is that the word is Jehovah.
Yeah.
Uyo,
Yeah.
Jehovah. So like words and sound is interesting. But
For sure. You
But
can
yeah,
get
but-
modified throughout time. You can get modified. Who knows?
it gets modified. But that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
as far as going back to telepathy and wondering how many people are enlightened right now on this earth, I don't want to use the word proof, because human being, like, proof is just like never ending.
Yeah.
Like so how do you think, Armel, we could measure if somebody is enlightened or in an enlightened state? Or not measure, how do you think we can confirm that or know that? Is it through intuition? Is it through a phenomenon? But like, how do we take attendance of who is in an enlightened state right now in 2024?
It's a very, very complicated question. It's already tough to understand when we are, right?
Right.
So understanding when others are is going to be complicated. I feel like the biggest question is when, how many times are we enlightened? Are we, how many times are we in that state of enlightenment? And I think the more we're going to get aware of how often we are, the more easier it's going to get to understand how others are.
I think there's a key in that question, or that key in that search or that mission, because I can't help but feeling in my intuition that regardless of your material surrounding or your current state of organization, whether you're a man or you're a woman, whether you have children or no children, whether you have money or no money, I have this intuitive feeling that when you encounter someone or something that is in an enlightened state, we will all realize that it transcends all the measurements of what we think is successful or what we think is the way we should be doing.
Sure,
So
and that's gonna be the next phase. I feel like already success has been transformed from like a meaning to another, right? Success before was like making money and having a big car and a big house. Now success is shifting to like being fulfilled, and probably in the near future, success is gonna be about getting transcendence into a new state of consciousness.
Yeah, it does make me wonder, like in the ancient times, perhaps, and there are theories. Even there's like a new show of the what is it called, Ancient Apocalypse. This guy, I forgot his name. I just saw a few episodes, but he's trying to discover the untold stories of the ancient civilizations, because he feels like we now think we are the best civilization, but we don't realize that actually we're less advanced than the older civilizations. Yes. And it's crazy when I hear that, because it makes me imagine in those civilizations, or let's just, play a little bit. Let's think of like a 10-year-old boy or 10-year-old girl in that civilization, maybe, let's say 5,000 years ago, in an advanced ancient civilization. What did that kid want to be like when he grew up? What did he want? What did he want to become? And it's funny because now fast forward to today, and you think about like kids, even young adults, even myself. What is the thing that's being sold to us constantly, persuading us constantly? You mentioned the big heart, the big house, the big car, the nice fast car. You mentioned but that's also like...
That's just our generation. That's just our generation.
That's an idea that's being sold to us maybe since the 20s or 30s, when the Model T, when Ford started creating cars.
Even more recently, I feel like it's been, to me, like this, like very pushed on, like I want to have like a Bentley, I want to have a driver, I want to have a huge house with a swimming pool in, this is very recent. I don't think our grandparents has lived that. My mom told me my grandparents was building the
Oh, knitting,
Yeah,
sweaters, knitting,
yeah, yeah.
like creating
They're,
sweaters and stuff.
they're creating the pants and the sweaters and everything like this. They were not buying clothes. It was not this kind of civilization where you gotta buy new thing, you gotta buy new thing. No, they were creating it. So life was much cheaper.
It just it makes me curious about like what or who or what collectives of people and industries are constantly, and like you talk about marketing and advertisement, right? We're marketers too, so we have also participated in this game of I'm gonna show you this so you feel like you need it to feel complete. And this game is so interesting because it is a very young game. The iPhone is only 16 years old, right? Like these are tiny numbers compared to the lifespan of Earth.
Very small.
But I really wonder like of an alternate world where that kid wants to become a spiritual, a philosopher. Yeah, a philosopher wants to become a spiritual, teacher or mentor, and his accolades, his cars in the garage, is books that he's written.
Yes.
You
No, I
feel
mean
me? Like
that's exactly how it is, man. And you can see the Greek philosophers, how powerful they are, and how the impact they've put on our lives still right now. All those Greek philosophers, man, they're like that's the kind of people we need right now.
we need more people like that who are like
That's the type of people we need.
who are like competing.
It's like my guy.
It's like an
What's life.
intellectual competition. It's like how many books did you write this year? I don't care how many cars you bought. How many books? How many ideas did you flesh out? You know, it's like shit like that.
And it's getting toward this way. It's getting toward this way. I feel like.
I mean, it is a wild. It's a wild within and without, because even they were part of a time too that was like very hedonistic, right? The Greek or the Roman times. There are still a lot of pleasures and materialistic pleasure.
For sure.
Which at the same time is not. I mean, again, I think as we have more of these conversations and we develop our intuition more, we will start to realize that there is a balance. There is this point or this state where you are kind of floating in an intentional way. It's a balance almost. Amongst all the oceans of ideas and material and good and bad.
Exactly.
To be kind of like
purple.
Okay. Like to you know what I mean? To be okay.
It's a balance. It's a balance.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. So yeah, I think we can end up in these beautiful words, and we can continue discussing about those about Yahuba. I would love to see what you got to know more.
I think it's only gonna grow, bro. Theova is definitely like a crazy.
I'm really grateful. You know, this happens right now to me. It makes me remind me to this book. I've read it maybe 2 years ago. So
you gotta read it again, bro.
So, but already the fact right now that you're going through some chapters and you're talking to me right now, it give me goosebumps, and I'm like, wow, so excited to like get to know more things about it. So I think it comes on time, you know. I've read the book, then I had a lot of experiences until now, and now I'm getting back to it, thanks of you, and I think that's the beautiful synchronicity of life.
I mean, for sure. I mean, it does make me realize like, you know, how much wisdom is hidden away in different sources. Of course, it makes me think too. Like, it makes me kind of inspired to like, you know, there's the Theova prophecy, right? That's technically one man's account, but when do we read the Bible? When do we read the Torah? When do we read the Quran? When I say we, I mean like collectively. Like you see right now.
And it's really nice to read the Bible after reading Theova. It's really nice because the Bible makes so much sense. Man, it's a different meaning.
I'm sure there's so many parallels. I
can only
imagine like people. How many people do you meet every day who have read like every religion's books and still are not religious.
Yeah. This is
Imagine
very
that
nice.
kind of
This is
person,
very
right?
nice.
It's like
This is very
I read
nice.
all the books and I'm still not religious.
Yeah, because it's
But
just
I-
like it's
But
just
I'm
stories.
spiritual. But I'm spiritual.
Yes, sir. Stories.
Well, until the next story, brother. I mean, I think
And
this is a good little kickoff for those of you watching.
it's a
Hopefully you're
beautiful
tuning in.
first episode, and if you looking forward to like get to know more things like that, and you're interested to get knowledge like this, just make sure to smash the like button, the subscribe button. You know, keep in touch
Right,
with
stay
us.
in
Leave a
touch.
comment.
Yes.
Leave a comment
Leave
about
ask
your
questions
thoughts.
too.
You know,
Ask us questions. Give us some questions. You know,
we are learning.
engage with us. Yeah, we're learning in public. This is spiritual, intuitive development in public. It's a practice. It's an experiment.
Yes, sir.
You know,
So
me and Armel are on this journey just like you are on this journey. So
we open to any.
tap in.
Yes, sir. All right, I appreciate you, Avon. I appreciate you for
I
the nice
appreciate
stuff.
you too. For sure.
And
Super
it's
grateful. Can't wait for the next check-in. See where you're at.
Yes,
I'm sure
sir.
you'll be in another country by then. Right, baby.
We'll probably record next week. We're probably gonna record next week. All right.
Yes, sir. All right,
I
brother.
appreciate you, my boy. See you.